last night of March, 1922, 6 people on a small Bavarian farm vanished without leaving the property. No screams were heard over the wind. No rider galloped down the dirt road for help. In the morning, the cattle lowed in their stalls, and smoke curled from the chimney, as if the house itself kept breathing. The bodies of the Gruber family were hidden just a few steps away in the barn. For the next century, no one could say for sure who killed them. Hinterkaifeck wasn't a village. It was just a farmstead near the hamlet of Gröbern, about an hour north of Munich today. Inside lived Andreas Gruber, 63, and his wife, Cecilia, 72. Their widowed daughter, Victoria Gabriel, 35, slept down the hall. With her were her children, little Cecilia, 7 years old, and Joseph, just 2. A maid had recently quit. A new maid, Maria Baumgartner, was set to arrive on March 31st. Days before the murders, a late snow fell. Andreas noticed footprints leading from the woods straight to the back door. There were no prints leading back. That night, he heard footsteps in the attic. He climbed the ladder with a lantern, looked into the dust and rafters, and came back down without a word. The next day, a Munich newspaper appeared in the kitchen. The family didn't subscribe to it. A house key went missing. The old maid had quit, saying the place felt haunted. On March 31st, Victoria went into town for supplies. She told a shopkeeper about strange happenings at the farm. That afternoon, Maria Baumgartner arrived for her first night of work. Somewhere in those hours, as daylight drained from the fields, a decision was made. Not by the family, by someone already inside or watching from the woods. Investigators believe the killer lured 4 people into the barn, maybe with a noise among the cattle, a restless horse, or a door banging in the wind. First, Cecilia, the grandmother, then Andreas, then Victoria, then little Cecilia. Each was killed on the threshing floor, one by one, with a short-handled farm mattock. The killer stacked their bodies, covered them with hay, and even tended the animals to keep them quiet. Inside the house, baby Joseph lay in his bassinet. Maria was in the guest room. Both were killed. For the next 3 days, the house stayed alive. Smoke rose from the chimney. The cattle were fed. Someone cooked in the kitchen, cut meat, baked bread. The dog was tied up, then later found inside. The murderer lived in the Grubers' home long after the Grubers were gone. The mailman noticed letters piling up. Little Cecilia missed school. Victoria failed to attend choir. On April 4th, neighbors, including Lorenz Schlittenbauer, went to check the farm. They found the doors latched, the dishes out, the clock wound. In the barn, beneath hay, and an old door, they found the bodies. For a long moment, no one spoke. There was no morgue nearby. The doctor performed the autopsies right there in the barn. The blows were brutal. Victoria had signs of strangulation and repeated strikes. Little Kazilia had torn a clump of her own hair out, meaning she lived long enough to feel what happened. The weapon wasn't found that week. It was discovered months later, hidden in the rafters when the farm was demolished. Suspicion fell on neighbor Lawrence Schlittenbauer. He had been romantically involved with Victoria. Some believed he was Yosef's father. Others thought he'd been humiliated by Andreas over paternity disputes and alimony. When Lorenz entered the house on April 4th, he touched doors, moved bodies, actions that muddied the evidence. He gave conflicting statements for years, but he was never charged. Police chased other leads: vagrants, robbers, a former farmhand, even soldiers drifting home from the war. Valuables were left behind. The calm, domestic routine after the murders suggested something personal or something patient. Witnesses claimed to see smoke at night, a figure at the edge of the forest, lamplight moving behind curtains, in a house where no one lived anymore. The farm was demolished later in 1922. Workers found the hidden mattock and a blood-stained board. The victims' skulls were removed and sent to Munich for study. During the chaos of World War II, they were lost, never returned to the graves. Today, a simple memorial stone stands where the farmhouse once did. People still leave flowers. We know 6 people died with a farm tool. We know someone watched that farm, before, during, and after. We know footprints came from the forest and didn't go back. We don't know who climbed the attic ladder, who fed the cows, who sliced bread in the kitchen by lamplight. And we don't know whose breath fogged the attic dust as the family tried to sleep. A century has passed. The case has been reopened many times. Modern detectives have named suspects in private reports. But without living witnesses and without preserved evidence, it remains unsolved. At the farm site, winter still lays a white sheet over the field. And some years, a single line of footprints appears, starting at the tree line and ending at nothing. If a house can keep breathing after its people are gone, maybe it can keep remembering. The same creaks in the floorboards, the same animals calmed by the same hands. And maybe, if you stand where the barn once stood and listen between the wind and the crows, you'll hear quiet chewing, a chair shifting on wood, and slow steps across attic boards from someone who never learned to leave.